Live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, home of so many of the biggest fights in boxing over the years. Tonight, another fight which could join the pantheon of unforgettable matchups. Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito for the welterweight championship of the world, scheduled for 12 rounds or for as long as it lasts. Before our main event, we have a 3-fight undercard, beginning with 20-year-old Bernabe Concepcion of the Philippines, facing Californian Adam Carrera. Then undefeated Mike Alvarado of Denver, Colorado, takes on one of the grizzled veterans of Mexico, Cesar Bazan. And in our last matchup before the main event, power-punching Mexican Giovanni Zegura collides with another big hitter, Cesar Canchila of Colombia. Cotto versus Margarito is being brought to you by MGM Grand, the city of entertainment in Las Vegas. Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. Tecate beer, cerveza with an attitude. Reebok, your move. Brought to you by Universal Pictures, Death Race the movie, in theaters August 22. And by HBO Pay-Per-View, the best in pay-per-view entertainment, brought to you by HBO. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We are proud to welcome you to this HBO pay-per-view showcase for what surely should rank as one of the great fights, if not the best fight of the year 2008. Just a couple of years ago, Miguel Cotto was anointed as one of the rising superstars of the sport. He needed fights against bigger name opponents to prove himself at that level. He got them, won them, and now ranks in the eyes of most experts among the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. At the same moment a couple of years ago, Antonio Margarito was seen as the sport's most avoided dangerous fighter. Superstar fighters like Shane Mosley and Floyd Mayweather both turned down huge monetary offers to fight him. He continued to need fights against bigger name opponents to prove his own stature, and Cotto's rising prominence has finally rewarded Margarito with the opportunity he sought. Their collision will take place later on tonight. First of all, we're going to start off with an undercard beginning in the 122-pound weight class. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for rising Filipino prospect Bernabe Concepcion against Adam Carrera of California. And you see the 5-year age gap. Concepcion still only 20 years old, though he began his boxing career in his middle teens. A 2-inch height advantage for Carrera. Arm length advantage of a ½ inch measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in within a couple of pounds of the 122-pound weight limit for the junior featherweight division, and tonight both have rehydrated up about 9 or 10 pounds prior to entering the ring, according to our unofficial HBO scale. Rules of the bout with our ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Bernabe Concepcion Adam Carrera fight is scheduled for 10 rounds using the rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3-knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case it is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. Momentarily, I'll be calling the fight from ringside with Emmanuel Stewart and Max Kellerman. Right now, let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the MGM Grand of Las Vegas, Nevada, where tonight, Bob Arum's Top Rank Boxing is proud to present an evening of world-class professional boxing for your entertainment. These bouts are sponsored by Tecate, Cerveza with Attitude, Rums of Puerto Rico, Reebok, and Universal Pictures Motion Picture Death Race. In theaters everywhere, April 22nd. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman John Bailey, Executive Director Keith Kaiser, Commissioners Skip Avancino Jr., Bill Brady, T.J. Day, and Pat Lundville. Physicians in attendance are Doctors William Berliner, Rodney Corson, Michael Enrico, and Stephen Leibowitz. Timekeepers counting for the knockdown seconds at the bell, James Cavan and Ernie Howdegay. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout, this first contest, are Eric Cheek, Dwayne Ford, and Glenn Trowbridge. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Joe Cortez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds of boxing. This is in the super bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing green and white, official weight 123 1/2 pounds. His professional record, 19 victories, including 8 by knockout, with 3 defeats from Cathedral City, California. Here's Adam El Torito Carrera. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing black and gold, official weight 124 pounds. His professional record, 25 victories, including 14 knockouts, only 1 defeat with 1 bout even. From Rizal, Philippines, Bernabe, the real de Concepcion.
Torito. Concepcion. All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules of the dressing room. Ya vi la regla del Don Camerino. I expect a good, clean fight. Any fouls, any intentional fouls, there's no warnings. Give me a clean fight. Que Dios lo bendiga. May God bless you. Good luck to both of you.
Concepcion's people are trying to brand him the next Manny Pacquiao. In over 100 years of Marquis of Queensberry rules, there's been 1 Manny Pacquiao. Unlikely there'll be 2 fighting at the same time, but he is from the Philippines and he can punch.
The next Manny Pacquiao is becoming one of those labels like the next Michael Jordan. You're not sure after a while that you want to hear it about yourself, but Concepcion does have one Pacquiao-like advantage, which is the presence of Freddie Roach in his corner. And in a division filled with hard punchers, Emmanuel, he has a very strong-looking body.
It's amazing. I'm looking at all of these small fighters with these big knockout records. Almost 80-90% of their fights have been winning by knockout. But Concepcion, I think, is one of the best punchers in the smaller divisions.
Has a grin on his face as he circles looking for offensive opportunities against Adam Carrera.
What's interesting, too, with a lot of these small guys who are big punchers, they have very good defense in addition, which you don't appreciate as much because they punch so well.
Carrera comes from Cathedral City, California. And one red flag sticks out when you look at Carrera's record, which is that at age 25 and 22 fights into his career, he has already had 4 California or Nevada medical suspensions. So he's had injury problems in his career, and that makes it hard to get back onto the same page with, for instance, a rising prospect like Concepcion. Concepcion doesn't have one of those records that bristles with all knockouts. He has only 14 knockouts among his 25 wins, but in recent fights, knockouts in 3 of the last 4, as he's been fighting slightly more prominent fighters who will challenge him.
Like a lot of the fighters that's coming from Mexico and from the Philippines, a lot of the Philippine fighters didn't have a big amateur boxing background. Most of their time was in kickboxing and things of that nature. So they really have learned to fight as a professional fighter without having a big amateur background.
And when you turn pro at 16, you don't have your man bones yet. You're a boy fighting men. Not only does it result in early losses oftentimes, as is the case with Concepcion, but it will affect your knockout rate. As you get older and grow into your body, a young prospect like Concepcion will knock more guys out, and that's what happened with him.
Interestingly, early in the fight, it appears to me that Carrera has been beating Concepcion to the punch when they're in the center of the ring. When they drift toward the ropes, the Filipino fighter gets more confidence. There he sticks his jab into Carrera's face.
You can see the difference in the power when Concepcion punches, but he doesn't punch that often enough, and as a result, could possibly be in the danger of losing this round, even though he shows the style that he is a better fighter, but he may be losing this round.
Carrera sticking his jab and showing resolution as round 1 comes to a close.
You're doing very good. Open your mouth. doing very good. The only problem is that he wants for you to come in so he can catch you. And then when you're on the outside, he wants to catch you with his power shots. Use your jab, move, and when you're on the inside, light him up.
Yeah, come on now, Joe. Let's use that jab a little bit more, okay?
Jab?
Double that jab up and then sink that right in the body, okay? All right? Body first, double jab, body, then back to the head, okay, son? All right,
body?
Yeah, body, then head, okay? All right, combinations now, not one punch at a time. All right? Do this one.
CompuBox numbers in round one, and we mentioned that Carrera had been throwing more punches, seemingly beating Concepcion to the punch, but he wasn't able to land many of them. According to CompuBox, only 5 out of 56, while Concepcion was 11 out of 33, including 9 of 14 power shots. So the rippling muscles of the Filipino fighter giving him the opportunity to land more power punches in the first round.
And Jim, he has a tremendous sledgehammer left jab to Concepcion. When he lands his left jab, it's better than most guys. We see that most guys is right hand punch. Very powerful straight left jab.
What jumps out at me about Concepcion physically are his calves. They're huge. And he's seen it maybe.
He's from the Philippines. All of them with that.
I mean,
now this is something we see that has to do with the kickboxing background that Emmanuel mentioned. And, you know, it's a feature you see in Manny Pacquiao, Ray Batista, virtually all of the star quality fighters who come from the Philippines have power in their legs. There's a good body shot inside by Bernabe Concepcion. Adam Carrera is trained by his father, and you heard him encouraging his son between rounds.
Even though maybe Concepcion has the most talent in this fight, Cabrera is fighting a very determined fight, and you know anything could happen in this fight. It would not surprise me.
Earlier this year against Juan Ruiz, Concepcion also started slowly and looked as though he was going to be out hustled, only to take over the fight as he entered the middle rounds.
Good body shot and the left hook upstairs by Concepcion.
Yep, and Cabrera came right back with a tail end punch at the end of it, though. Maybe not as powerful, maybe not as flashy, but his determination is there, and his focus and intensity is probably making up for his lack of talent.
Absolutely.
Every time that Concepcion lands a punch, Carrera comes right back and prevents him from getting a real good momentum to go in.
Right hand over the top by Carrera drives Concepcion back into the ropes. Concepcion still fighting with that little grin on his face as Carrera puts him in a corner and sticks another right hand. Hard right hand inside on a counter shot by Carrera, throwing more punches again in this round than Bernabe Concepcion.
Time! Okay. All right, that's the way you work that body. Good job. Let's work that jab a little bit more for you, okay? Just double that jab up, okay? All right? You landed one, okay? Two's there for you. Double jab and that right hook your body's working well, okay? Make that body.
Careful with his uppercuts. But you're taking the fight. It's good. Throw your combinations. Go in and out quickly. Catch him. Come on, close. 45.
CompuBox numbers in round two very similar to those in round one in the sense that Carrera threw more punches, 59 to only 39 for Concepcion, but Concepcion landed more punches, 16 to 10 for Carrera by CompuBox count.
Well, looking at the eyes of Concepcion, I think he has a lot more respect for Cabrera than he had when the fight first started. Even though he may be winning, I see a little sense of worry setting in his eyes. Carrera.
Carrera comes from Cathedral City, California, out in the desert. We've seen some determined fighters from the desert before, including Antonio Diaz, who had a fight several years back with Antonio Margarito, whom we're going to see in the main event later on this evening. Concepcion seems a little bit more interested in working to the body. Freddie Roach was asking for double jabs. Concepcion using his footwork now to try to get inside on Carrera and slip past that long jab.
Yeah, you see, talking about his calves earlier, it's not just normal footwork. He's springing into punching range and then springing out.
I've been amazed at his footwork and his balance. You know, he's not just a puncher, but he moves gets very good upper body movement and moves very well on his legs, in and out.
Hard right hand puts Carrera on his knee. And it was the footwork that both of you were talking about that created the opportunity for that punch. And just as Max Kellerman described it, he sprung into position to launch the punch and shocked Carrera from close range.
The hand speed and the foot speed is really a problem for Carrera trying to deal with Concepcion. Not just his punching power, just he moves in and out, punches from all kind of angles, and you really can't anticipate where the punches come, like the uppercut.
Brilliant right uppercut, and Carrera goes down again on a punch he couldn't possibly have seen.
No way. It was the first uppercut probably he saw through in the whole fight. It's over.
This is going to be called off by Joe Cortez.
Great call by
A spectacular third-round knockout for Bernabe Concepcion, who literally sprang into position to throw 2 or 3 shocking power punches. We may be seeing the development of a new style of fighting, actually.
And I'm glad to see that, because most of these small guys today have no footwork or rhythm at all. They just punch. This was an exception, right? He punching and moving all at the same time.
The question when you see a prospect is there something out of the ordinary here? Is there something worth tuning in to see? And I think the answer here is a resounding yes.
Concepcion closing the show, landing 9 of 15 power shots. You've seen the power, speed, and dynamism of Manny Pacquiao. Clearly, with Freddie Roach in the corner, that's the model on which Concepcion is working. If anything, he's even more creative than Pacquiao in the way in which he creates these power shot opportunities.
That was a beautiful right hand after he slipped the jab and came over. Carrera didn't do anything wrong. He just he slipped it, and he was on the blind side. He couldn't even see it because of his own shoulder in the way.
Talk about a short power punch.
That was the first knockdown. Now here's the second.
And here you see a punch that he hasn't thrown the entire fight. A right uppercut thrown inside of a wide left head punch, which is very unusual.
Thrown with violent intentions and tremendous force.
And still in such great balance and position.
Carrera even able to get off one right hand before he fell, but then getting to his feet at about the 9 count. Clearly unable to continue. A good stoppage by Joe Cortez. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes, 14 seconds of round number 2. The winner by TKO victory. He's from Azal in the Philippines. Bernabe, the real deal, Concepcion.
The smile gets a little bit broader and more expansive, but he wore it throughout the 3 rounds, en route to the stunningly effective knockout of a pretty good-looking opponent in Adam Carrera. Final CompuBox numbers, and you'll see that Carrera was the higher volume puncher, but Concepcion made his count, landing 40% of his total punches, including those bombs for which he sprung into position in round 3. 60% of his power shots. By and large, in this game, when CompuBox numbers say that you've landed 60% of your power shots, you have either scored a knockout or a stunningly dominant victory. So it's a hot night for Bernabe Concepcion of the Philippines, and a hot night outside in Las Vegas, where the temperature all week has been well above 100 degrees. Still to come, 140-pound prospect Mike Alvarado, a former high school wrestler, converted late to boxing, against Cesar Bazan, longtime fixture in the 140-pound weight class. And undefeated knockout artist Giovanni Segura versus Cesar Canchila, who says, I'm the one who's going to score the knockout here, in the 108-pound weight class. And then our main event, one of the most highly anticipated fights of recent years, Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito for the welterweight championship of the world. But before that, let's take a look at the next boxing event on pay-per-view.
This Mexican Independence Day, Juan Manuel Marquez is back. Now he steps up in weight to face his toughest challenge, lightweight champion Joel Casamayor. Plus, the rematch of the year as Vernon Forrest seeks revenge against world champion contender superstar Sergio Mora. The challenge, Casamayor Marquez, Mora Forrest, Saturday, September 13th, live on pay-per-view. Contact your pay-per-view provider to order.
August 2, Boxing After Dark returns with welterweight Zab Judah and Josh Plotty, both fighting with an eye toward the winner tonight. September 6th, more Boxing After Dark with lightweights Juan Diaz and Michael Katsita squaring off, both looking to rebound off their first professional losses. Hey, that could be the fight of the year. And September 13 on HBO pay-per-view, it's Joel Casamayor facing Juan Manuel Marquez. For all that and more, log on to HBO.com. A very relaxed Miguel Cotto typically has been here in the arena for the last hour and a half. He arrived at 5 o'clock and then sat in the front row at ringside for nearly an hour watching one of his stablemates compete in his own fight. A couple of fans came up, said hello. Cotto with his earphones in, listening to his iPod. Never interrupted the music listening, but was polite and congenial with fans. Here's a look at his wife, reunited with Miguel recently and still sitting at ringside along with two of the 4 children who have accompanied them here tonight. And Miguel gets a smile as he looks at his family at ringside. And we're showing you Miguel Cotto at some length here because Antonio Margarito is not yet in the arena. So there's a contrast already, as it's not unusual that Margarito isn't here for an 8 o'clock date at 6:30. But it's noteworthy in the sense that Cotto has already been here an hour and a half. And now let's go back to the ring where we're ready for the tale of the tape between Mike Alvarado and Cesar Bazan. Alvarado is a rising prospect in the 140-pound weight class, hoping to take a big step toward making his mark. He's got a 6-year age advantage. Gives away 2 inches in height to the exceptionally tall, exceptionally long-armed for the 140-pound division, Cesar Bazan. Bazan with a 2-inch arm length advantage, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in within a pound or two of the 140-pound limit, and both have rehydrated unofficially up to 150 pounds. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Mike Alvarado Cesar Bazan fight is scheduled for 10 rounds using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, real quick, the 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each individual round: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense, with a strong emphasis on clean, effective punching. Jim!
The crowd is cheering Mike Alvarado, who just got into the ring. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the MGM Grand here in Las Vegas, the action continues. It's all brought to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Boxing, sponsored by Tecate Cerveza with Attitude, the Rums of Puerto Rico, Reebok, and Universal Pictures motion picture Death Race, in theaters everywhere Friday, August 22nd. And now the action continues. The 3 judges at ringside for this contest: Dick Houck, C.J. Ross, and Paul Smith. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Russell Mora. And now, 10 rounds of boxing. This is in the super lightweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue with white, official weight 141 pounds. His professional record, 48 victories, including 31 knockouts, 10 defeats, 1 draw. Originally from Ciudad de Mexico, now fighting out of El Paso, Texas, the former lightweight champion of the world, Cesar Bazan. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with silver, official weight 142 pounds. A perfect professional record consisting of 21 bouts, 21 victories, including 14 knockouts. From Thornton, Colorado, the undefeated Mike Alvarado.
Okay, trunks here are good. Trunks here are good. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to remind you, I want a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Acuérdense, quiero una pelea limpia. Dios los bendiga. Toquen guantes. Touch up.
Alvarado's a prospect at junior welterweight, though he's really more of a welterweight. A deep yet wide open division without a dominant champion in light of Ricky Hatton's recent performances. Bazan is really shop worn. Let's see what we have here in Alvarado.
Bazan, in his lengthy career, has been in the ring with fighters like Stevie Johnston, Jose Luis Castillo, and most noteworthily, Miguel Cotto, who tattooed him for 377 landed punches over the course of 10 rounds. But that kind of experience makes him a useful gatekeeper for a fighter like Alvarado.
And he still has a fair amount of his skills left, too. He's not a really completely shop-worn fighter.
But even Bazan acknowledged to us in his fighter meeting yesterday that he would have to be careful of not getting discouraged in the early rounds, that he's going to have to show himself something in the first 3 or 4 rounds to get the kind of commitment and resolution necessary to keep going against a guy he knows is a strong opponent.
Very strong and aggressive young fighter, and he's coming out shooting his big weapons off the bat. And this is the danger of always with a veteran fighter, the first round or two.
You know, because of Alvarado's background as a high school wrestler who took up boxing at age 18, Emmanuel, it's inevitable that I'm going to have to seek a comparison with the fighter you trained, Kermit Cintron, whose background is very much the same. I mean, question one would be, as we go along, does he look like he has the kind of ring comfort that Cintron has been able to develop?
I think so. Cintron was a really gifted all-around athlete in high school, too. His biggest problem was just that old hungry guy named Antonio Margarito.
Bazan lands an uppercut, which is a good forceful answer for some of the early bombs Alvarado's been landing.
That was the second one Bazan's landed. Alvarado took it well.
In a war in round one. Both guys have thrown jabs, but both guys are winging power shots. A couple of good body blows there by Bazan, and he ducks the swinging right hand over the top.
Bazan is so relaxed, and you see he's watching for the right hand of Alvarado all the time. He's ready to roll his right. He sees that Alvarado's biggest punch is his right hand, and he's watching so he can roll it because he got hit with it earlier.
Bazan, originally from Mexico City, now lives in El Paso and says that he's committed to staying in El Paso and ultimately pursuing a life here in the United States. He wants to start a business with the money that he can earn from this fight, and if he wins, it'll become a better business. And Bazan has encouraged himself to believe that he can fight with Alvarado.
He's fighting a very, very explosive, dangerous fight.
Bazan was giving him the business, Jim.
Yep. The first minute, it was Alvarado who was landing and seemingly gaining confidence himself, but Bazan has retaliated effectively through the remaining 2 minutes of round one. Now Alvarado gets his left uppercut in.
It seems to be the right hand of Alvarado seems to be the most dangerous punch that Bazan has to look out for.
Both guys have thrown a wide variety of punches in round one.
You're doing good, but don't wait for them. Don't leave your face out there. Come on, 1 or 2 uppercuts are coming in cleanly. Working well, and be careful. Don't put your face there. You're working it well, though. Go around a couple times, man.
Remember that jab, bro? Okay, we worked on get that rhythm going, pop that rhythm.
He's really relaxed, baby. He's really relaxed. Okay? You need to start acting like that, okay? That's one for him, none for you. Do you understand me? Okay? You good? All right, baby.
CompuBox numbers in an explosive round one. Alvarado 25 out of 56, Bazan 23 out of 59. Both of them landed 13 power shots. Harold Letterman gave the close round to Bazan. Probably for those effective uppercuts and right hands in the middle of the round.
Bazan is so relaxed. I mean, his body rhythm seems to be just about like his body is. Totally relaxed, loose, and placing his punches very well, and primarily watching out for the right hand from Alvarado.
Yeah, if it's a bodybuilding contest, Alvarado wins it hands down. But Bazan, like Kelly Pavlik, gives you a demonstration that sometimes the longer, looser muscles produce the quicker response.
Up, punches up, grupos arriba.
Watch his right hand. Go, Mike. Double jab right hand.
Alvarado just a little quicker on the draw.
Punches up.
In the last 20 seconds or so.
But Bazan is fighting a very good fight, very relaxed, placing his punches very well, and for the most part, giving about as much as he's taking.
A lot of criticism in boxing media of the quality of the matchups on this undercard, but already it seems to have been elevated just a little bit by the highly telegenic performance of the Filipino prospect Bernabé Concepcion at 122 pounds. Now Bazan and Alvarado are fighting a close fight in the second round.
I've been impressed by all of the fights I've saw tonight. They all have been very competitive, and I think it's going to remain that way the rest of the night based on the fights that I see that's coming up.
Oh, you think
all the way to the title fight?
You think Cotto Margarito might be competitive, Emmanuel?
That's an understatement.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see if this fight goes into the late rounds, whether the tighter, tenser Alvarado can maintain his stamina against Bazan, who is so much more relaxed.
It's a very good point.
Okay? Water. To the body. Okay, you're just not moving your head enough. Do you hear what the fuck I'm saying? He's gonna catch you with something sneaky. Keep your fucking hands up, shoulder back, back feet on the ground. Come on, you hear what the fuck I'm saying? Okay? All right? You're back in control. Now I need you stepping a little harder off your back foot with the jab. You hear what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. Hey, baby, we got it. Take it.
Combina un gancho al hígado. Vele tirando ahí para que vaya bajando la potencia. Con el piso para adentro. 1, 2. Ya tiene la mano muy acá enfrente. Búscala atrás.
Round 3 begins between Mike Alvarado in the black trunks, rising prospect in the 140-pound weight class, unbeaten fighter, and longtime veteran Cesar Bazan, who was prominent 10 years ago in the 135 and then the 140-pound weight classes, and is serving as an interesting gatekeeper here. They've been banging away at each other in the first 2 rounds. Emmanuel Stewart, Just before the start of this fight, we showed Miguel Cotto in his dressing room, and I mentioned that he had been in the arena an hour and a half already and spent close to an hour at ringside watching one of his stablemates fight and conversing with a few passers-by from his seat in the front row. I want to point out that since I said that, Antonio Margarito has indeed entered the arena, so both fighters are inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena right now. But what about Miguel Cotto's style of coming to the arena and sitting in the front row?
He always does that. He is a big fan, and he comes and supports all of his teammates. Even tonight when he fought Shane Mosley, if you remember, in New York, he was in the arena right over there, I think, for about the second fight of the night. He always does that.
And some people would say, oh, that's going to distract you. He says it relaxes him.
He's an unusually relaxed man. In fact, the only fight that I recall ever when we was interviewing him, he had his whole family. We have 12 seats on the other side of the table, and all of those seats were occupied by his father, his mother, his kids. He's an unusually relaxed man.
Well, and we asked him, what's the reason that you brought the entire entourage into the room? And he said simply, it's a big fight. They want to share in everything. And you've told me in the past, Emmanuel, that the one other fighter you saw who would come into the arena and commune with fans before the fight was a heavyweight named Muhammad Ali.
Yep, Cassius Clay at the time, particularly, used to always like to come and watch his younger brother at the time, Rockman, and he would always come and support him, cheer him on, and then go change up. But Cotto is a very unusual guy. You know, he says he likes to have his family with him because he's relaxed with him. And it probably works for him. It may not work for other fighters, but it works for him.
Well, it's worked so far. I mean, one of the things that he brings into the fight with Margarito tonight is the mystique of the unbeaten fighter. You know, until we see him lose, it's hard to criticize anything Miguel Cotto chooses to do. Alvarado's starting to make his point here in round 3 as he drives Bazan back into the ropes with a couple of hard power shots.
That's what I was going to say. We're talking about Cotto, but right now there's a good fight breaking out up here in front of us. Bazan is throwing power punches himself in his legs. I don't think he feels he can take him through a good 10 or 12 rounds, so he's letting it all hang out now.
You heard Alvarado's trainer, Shan Vilhauer, very energetically saying between rounds, you know, you're not getting off as much as I want you to. Be more careful and don't get caught with something. Bazan tries to catch Alvarado with something right there. Takes a big shot, comes back with 3 more big ones of his own. What a crowd-pleasing fight this has been so far through the first 3 rounds. And we mentioned that Antonio Margarito had indeed come into the arena just about 10 minutes ago with his wife Michelle and his son by his side. Big grin for Margarito, who is involved tonight in the biggest event of his career. He's waited quite a while for this kind of showcase fight, and just as Cotto from his side seems to be wanting to make the most of the event, so too has Margarito. And incidentally, there's been no trash talk. There's been no degradation. There's been no dissing of the other fighter by either man. Neither could have been more professional in their build-up to the fight and more respectful of the opponent in the things that they have said about what they're expecting here.
And to some degree, both have disdained and avoided getting into the Mexican-Puerto Rican type situation. They're looking at it as 2 fights against 2 warriors.
Go. CompuBox numbers in 3. Alvarado 32 out of 88. High output for the fight. Good numbers. Bazan 26 out of 71. Both of them landing some significant power shots. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 2 rounds to 1. 29-28, Mike Alvarado. Jim, I'll tell you a few interesting things about Cesar Bazan. Number 1, in round 1, he worked his right hand real well. In rounds 2 and 3, he throws it very, very rarely. I think he hurt his right hand. He's working his left, just like you see there, but he's not throwing the right hand. He'll hold it back until it doesn't hurt him anymore, then he'll let it go. Another thing, most Mexican fighters are bob and weave guys. Cesar Bazan's a stand-up, straight stand-up guy that's making it very, very easy for Mike Alvarado to hit him with a right hand. 2-1, Alvarado.
Well, when you watch a young prospect like Alvarado, and he's promoted by Top Rank, you know that every opponent is being carefully chosen by Bruce Trampler, who may be the most outstanding matchmaker in a sport full of good, well-thinking matchmakers. Trampler is a guy who is excellent at choosing every kind of challenge along the way for a young fighter as they develop. It's particularly critical for a fighter like Alvarado, who came late to the sport of boxing.
I think Bruce Tramp is maybe the greatest matchmaker when it comes to developing a prospect. Some matchmakers are just making good matches exciting just for the promotion, but he makes competitive fights, but enough for his prospective fighters have to win, but they have to be extended.
And I'd like to list right here all of the guys who share Trampler's job and do well at it. Eric Gomez, Golden Boy, Mike Marchiante, who has worked for both Contender and Lou DiBella in the past. There are several others whose names are worthy of mention here, but I think any of them would tell you Trampler is the guy who has the longest, most proven track record.
Yeah, of developing a young fighter. Oscar De La Hoya, you go to Floyd Mayweather Jr., all of those fighters pretty much developed through the matchmaking of Bruce Trampler.
Right now, Alvarado is one of the beneficiaries of Trampler's choices, and he's working his way through Cesar Bazan.
And Miguel Cotto.
Now, what do you think of Harold's theory that Bazan might have hurt his right hand, Harold?
Well, it's hard to tell. He's throwing that chop hand right, but I thought that Alvarado may have hurt his when he was shaking it between rounds. But the biggest punch that both of them are throwing is right-hand punches in the fight. So evidently, I don't think that's a problem.
Bazan goes to one knee after a big right-hand shot by Alvarado. He takes his mouthpiece out. He curls down to the canvas. He looks like he's headed back to El Paso. And referee Russell Mora waves it off. A fourth-round knockout for Mike Alvarado, who simply busted down the wall with a series of hard punches in round 4.
Very, very impressive. Couldn't do it with one punch. He did it with accumulation of punches.
Alvarado knew that he had to look impressive on a card designed to make him look that way. He said impressive would be beating up Bazan within 6 or 7 rounds. Mission accomplished.
Our Max Kellerman is now going to go into the ring and interview Mike Alvarado, coming off of that outstanding showcase performance. And the way Bazan succumbed and decided not to continue with the combat suggests that it could be that Harold Letterman was onto something about the hurt right hand, or it simply could be that at his age and after all his years of experience, Bazan knew the score and didn't want to take any unwarranted risks. Good replay here, and you saw that straight right hand that finished.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, just accumulation of punches, as you said. Succumb is probably the proper word, Jim. It just was too much of everything.
The uppercut hurt. The straight right hand grazed past the temple, but did some damage as well. Bazan grimacing as he goes to the canvas. And the moment he pulled out the mouthpiece, you knew that we were done. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the MGM Grand, this bout comes to an end at 2 minutes, 46 seconds of round number 4. The winner by knockout victory, still undefeated. His record now 22-0, 15 KOs. From Thornton, Colorado, Mike Alvarado.
Final CompuBox numbers. Alvarado seemed to get stronger as the fight went on, ultimately landing 40% of his total punches, and many of them strong power shots. Bazan, who had a very good round 1, scored for him by Harold Letterman, winds up at 84 out of 250. Alvarado wasn't all that unwilling a target. Power shots, Alvarado landing 49% of them, and that's a very good number. In the first fight, you saw Bernabe Concepcion land 60% of his power shots by CompuBox count. That's a lights-out number. 49% is almost always a benchmark of great success. Bazan, 49 out of 111, but his punches were increasingly limp as the fight went on, and now Max Kellerman stands by with rising unbeaten prospect Mike Alvarado.
Mike, congratulations on an excellent performance. You told us yesterday that if you were to stop him in 6 or 7 rounds, mission would be accomplished. You did it in 4. Grade your performance.
I give it a B, strong B+. He came out strong. His experience, showed real well in the first couple rounds. I thought I started off a little slow, but I got stronger as the rounds came, but I feel good.
Did you feel his power at all? In the first round, he hit you with a couple of uppercuts.
Yeah, he hit me with a couple pretty good stinging shots, but nothing to ever hurt me. I felt good.
Okay, you're in a division that does not have a super dominant fighter right now, though it is a deep division. Where do you see yourself right now at junior welterweight?
I see myself contending in the top 10 from here, this next fight on at 140. I feel really good and comfortable at my weight and really strong. So we'll get back to the drawing boards and see what's going next.
Well, you mentioned 140. You haven't fought actually at 140 pounds a whole lot. Are you making weight okay? Do you see yourself as a junior welterweight or a welterweight?
I see myself as a junior welterweight. The extra couple pounds won't hurt me at all. I feel really comfortable at where I'm at now. But I feel good.
Is there anyone out there that you see at 140 pounds that you would like to fight in the near future?
I mean, there's so many names out there, man. It's a long list of good opponents out there, good champions. Anyone in the top 10, I'm coming. Anyone from 10 on up, and I'm working my way up, and I'm coming for you.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Max. Look out, Ricky Hatton and the 9 other fighters ranked below him in your top 10 at 140 pounds. The MGM Grand is the center of the boxing universe tonight, and for good reason. Still to come, undefeated knockout artist Giovanni Segura versus Cesar Cancilla at 108 pounds. If you haven't seen a 108-pound fight before, stay tuned. The activity can be amazing. And then the main event.